from Being Brown at Work Live. So I'm going to share a few things, make a few statements, and you tell me if any of this sounds familiar. You've got one of the best degrees from one of the top universities, might have even graduated top of your class, close to it, maybe. Then you entered into the workplace, you had the certificates, you had the extra training. I mean, you did everything, bridged all the knowledge gaps, the educational gaps that were possible. And when you looked around to your other team members, you pretty much surpassed anything they may have done from an educational standpoint. They didn't go to the level of school you went to. They didn't have the type of performance in the university you did. So, they can't be compared to you. And then, over your career thus far, you have pretty much knocked out every single task that's been given to you. The home runs you can't even keep track. I mean, whenever they give you an assignment, you have no issue with excelling in it. You even come up with other ways of doing it better, different, more successful than maybe someone else in the past have done it. I mean, your work product is everything. And it doesn't matter what they give you. And then after, I don't know, a few years, maybe even several years, various different opportunities have been presented, have been available. And it just seems like you're not the person that gets selected. So they go to the person that didn't have the same level of degree that you had, or the person that didn't hit as many home runs. I mean, they had the nerve to choose someone that doesn't even know a quarter of what you know, not even a quarter of it, hasn't even shown any measurable amount of impact in anything that they've done since they've been there. But they seem to be the person that is leading and being considered for this next level opportunity. I mean, when you hear all of that, and that sounds familiar to you, and how dare they? I mean, seriously, how dare they not come to you? It should be extremely obvious, right? It should be extremely obvious that you're the person. You should be the one getting that opportunity to lead that initiative, or you should be the one definitely top of the list for that promotion to the next level. You should be the one they should be coming to before they consider anyone else. So, I mean, how can that not be the case? How dare they even think of doing something different? I mean, seems pretty obvious to me, right? Obvious to you. And what's so obvious at times is not usually the reason. And in this particular case, I would offer to you that the degree from the top college, definitely worth having, will not ever discount education. The additional certifications to make sure that you on top of your knowledge game won't discount that either. The fact that you are extremely good, no matter what comes your way, even if you are even slightly challenged by it, even if it's just slightly a challenge, but you find a way. You find a way to be successful. You find a way to make impact, and it doesn't matter what they give you. You make it happen. I'm not discounting that either. But what I would offer you to consider is something is different. Something is potentially missing between you and all these things I just listed. I've been in the same shoes. I've done all those things I've listed. Still was not considered. There's a difference. Something's off. And I know we struggle, we beat our head up against the wall, and frankly get a bit upset, get an attitude, wonder, hey, let me move on to another organization because clearly they don't get it here. Let me move on to another team because clearly this team doesn't understand who I am. I'm here, right? So I'm going to go to this other company and we do that, right? You do that. You go there and 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, it looks familiar again. It looks familiar. And you're like, what the world? I mean, seriously, what is it that I have to do? What did you have to do? All that energy that you put into being so good at what you do. And I'm telling you, as Black and brown women, and I said this earlier today, I was doing a workshop, actually small mini workshop, a speech with the FedEx community in Dallas, Texas. And I shared the same thing there because that was the focus point. We always are told we have to be better than. We always are told that we have to know more, work harder, be better than our counterparts, because if we're not, forget seriously being considered. We have to do more, be more. We're taught that. That's at the root of our upbringing. So that's why I'm not discounting it, because we know all the other influences that exist in corporate America. So yeah, we do. Definitely not discounting it. But the added piece that no one teaches us, and this also came up in another women's employee resource group that I spoke to recently, what we're not taught in school, what we're not taught because maybe some of our parents didn't know any better or our family members didn't have the experience, what we're not taught is that it takes so much more than the degrees and hitting all the home runs. Because if you can't connect to individuals, if people can't connect to you, if you're not collaborative, if you are showing up constantly and and know you're the best and making sure everybody in the room knows you're better than everyone. If you're doing all of those types of things and you're not aware of the relationships that you don't have, you're not aware, you don't have social capital that you can leverage. If you don't have any of those things, that's why they dare to not promote you. That's why I sat at the same level in my career for almost 10 years. That's why. Because I had zero social capital. Zero. Didn't understand the importance of it. Didn't make an effort to even understand it. I saw it. I could tell something was going on with other individuals because they didn't have any of the credentials I had, but yet they were given the opportunities. So I knew something was different. And when I paid attention to that, that was the difference. They had the social capital. They had the relationships. They had all the other things that we are not taught. We're not even given that secret sauce. It's not. I would venture to guess even some of us that have had mentors in our careers didn't offer that because we didn't have a mentor that had our best interest at heart to give us that secret sauce. So that's why they dare not to promote you. That's exactly why. So the key would be to remove that. Just like we do all the work necessary to remove the difference in our education level, just like we do all the work necessary to remove the difference in our knowledge level, just like we remove all those other reasons that people have for not putting Black or brown women in key positions, we've got to remove this one as well. We've got to own this piece of ourselves as well. The being piece. We've got to own it. No more chip on our shoulders. No more pointing the finger at somebody else and that they're the problem. We have got to own how we show up and how important it is to do the relationship management, how important it is to establish social capital, how important it is to make sure we have our unique persona on lock, our brand, what we stand for, who we are connected to, because everybody that comes with us can't go with us, and making sure that we separate ourselves in that area as well. That is so very important. And the amount of time that we spend, I would offer the same amount of time that we spend on all those other things I just shared with you should be the same amount of time that you spend on the being piece, on what some people might call the soft side, or some people call the interpersonal piece, or, all the other terms that are out there. It's so extremely important that we spend time on that. So that when you say, how dare you not promote me? They really don't have a reason, because you've removed everything else. There is no reason. You are that next person in every aspect, because you filled up, you are completely well-rounded, and you meet all the criterion that a leader should have. Not just the competency in the task, but the stellar competency in the leadership skills. So that's what I wanted to share with you on this particular Being Brown Live. Make sure you bridge the being gap so you can dare them not to promote you. See you next week.